Good morning, everyone. I, Dr. Arohi Parmar, welcome you all. As we all know, Parul University, Faculty of Ayurveda, and the Association of Shalaki India are determined to serve the feast of knowledge to the young Shalakis. For the same, I, Dr. Arohi Parmar, welcome you all for the fourth day of online lecture series of our Shalakya Tantra. Acharya Shushruta has told that Bhuishtham Vyadaya Sarve Pratishyaya Nimittaja. Similarly, our today's topic will be an insight on etiopathogenesis of Pratishyaya and its management. For the same, first of all, let me welcome our today's guest of honor, Dr. Manjusha Madam. In the field of Shalakya Tantra, whether it is national or international level, there will be nobody who doesn't know the madam. Madam is currently working as professor and head of the Department of Shalakya Tantra, All India Institute of Ayurveda Science, New Delhi. So now I will welcome Dr. Manjusha Madam.
Namaskar. First of all, I would like to congratulate Parul Institute of Ayurveda and the TAS team for organizing the series on Shalakya Tantra. And definitely, I feel like I'm getting connected with these serial lectures in the last 3 days. I find, or this is my opinion, that this is definitely going to prove for the students beneficial. Uh, Is it visible? My slides are visible.
No, madam, your slides are not visible yet.
What is go to meet? गो टू मीट ही खोला था उसमें वो विंडो में वो वाला खुला है ना
Manjusha ma'am, can you hear me? I think madam has got some internet issues. We will wait for some minutes. Yes, madam is there.
Madam, your PPT is visible now. Manjusha, madam, your PPT is visible.
ओके, मेरे को कहाँ दिख रहा है?
Ma'am, your PPT is visible. You can start.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
You are audible also, ma'am.
So I would like to share my views regarding the strength of Ayurveda and what is the scope. As you all know, we have a glorious past. We get the references of many ophthalmic operations like surgery by the Ashwini Kumar, where the sight was regained to Rijasav, Paravrij, etc. In Yajurved, we find that the restoration of sight was done by the Mantra Chikitsa. And in history, we found the reference of surgeon Shiva, who enucleated the eyeball and could transplant the same to someone else. See why I am talking this, because our students, they should know the history. Now at present, what is the status? People think in Ayurveda surgery is not there. Whenever we introduce ourselves somewhere, they ask the first question that whether Ayurveda mein surgery hota hai kya? Yes, definitely. And Sushruta is the father of surgery. Similarly, we find the reference of the medical therapy. We find the reference of Anjan and many other drugs. Even Anjan reference is available in Atharved. And not only that, we have a separate text, Netropanishad or Chakshushopanishad, in which some 46 to 50 quotations are there, which are there for improvement of the eyesight. And there were a group of sampradaya, which is known as Satyaki Sampradaya. Till very recent past, they were practicing the surgery, cataract surgery by the pouching method in different parts of India, like Gujarat, Bombay province, etc. So these are the few photographs we see in the, we can say the Tamra Patra, etc. we found. And here one reference, that famous rhinoplasty method, which is Nasa Sandhan method, which is given in Sushu Samhita. It was quoted in the journal in the 1794, in the 1794 issue of the Gentleman's Magazine of London. And in the last year, if you all have read that following this principle, some surgeons outside India, they have done the rhinoplasty. Similarly, we find in our text the references of pterygium, cataract surgery, or entropion, etc. The principle is today also in the modern medicine, what they are following is same. So our principles are till now very much, you can say, relevant today also. Coming to what the Shalakya Tantra has contributed, that is the Sthananusar Vyadhi classification or the topographical classification. I always tell to my students, जैसे कि जो दूसरे डिजीजेस हैं उसमें कहीं भी ये नहीं बताया गया कि अमाशय की व्याधि, पक्वाशय की व्याधि, पर नेत्र रोगों में या मुख रोगों में ऐसा है कि इस पर्टिकुलर पार्ट का, जैसे संधिगत रोग, नेत्र रोग एक्सेट्रा, क्रियाकल्प का एक लेक्चर आपका पहले हो ही चुका है. क्रियाकल्प इज द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ शालाक्य तंत्र, and we all know that when the surgery is indicated, not indicated, or when medical intervention is to be done, is all explained in our literature. And coming to the status of diseases of supraclavicular part, in modern medicine, there are many limitations. Few conditions are surgically treatable or medically treatable, but available medicine or the procedures, definitely they are not free from complications. If we come to the scope where Ayurveda can control or contribute, these all diseases like anterior segment disorders, lenticular disorders, refractive errors, retinal disorder, uveitis. We are getting good number of patients uveitis. We do not respond to modern treatment and they respond very well to the Ayurveda treatment. So this is the area where Ayurveda or the Shalakya Tantra can contribute. This is a big list of ENT disorders. ENT disorders as such, prognosis is not good. And today's topic also one of the relevant topic, that is the rhinitis or allergic rhinitis. Then the dental disorders. Though the dental practitioners are like the way sir is there, some more few practitioners are there who work on dental disorders. So these are the areas in dentistry also where Ayurveda can contribute, and head diseases, etc. And the Kriya Kalpa, which is a strength of Shalakya Tantra, in these three ways, that is preventing the diseases, Shalakya diseases, clinical diseases, and the pharmaceutical, because in this area we are lacking, because Shalakya, for Shalakya related disorders, we don't have many formulations, particularly for eye disorders. This is the area where lot of work is to be done, and we expect from the budding Shalakyas that they should contribute in this area. Now, what is the present status in India or the different centers? We all are practicing, many people are practicing. When I did PG, that time the persons practicing Kriya Kalpa was less. Now over the years it has increased, but its full potential is not explored yet. Then Shalakya faculty, except few states, they are not legally allowed for the surgical practice. And as such, for Ayurveda Rajashri, we got very late. In China is an example where they recognize the contribution of traditional medicine way back in 70s, but we got Rajashri in 95, and our ministry got, Ayush ministry got established in 2014. Many changes have happened, positive changes have happened after that, and still lot is to be done. And till very recent past, that is 2006 or 7, our department was along with Shalya department, so it was neglected. One of the other speaker also told that till very recent past, the Shalakya was neglected. So we have lot of work to do in Shalakya, except few institutes where the Shalakya department was separate since beginning. In Jamnagar, it got separated from Shalya in 2006, in BHU, and also somewhere 2006 or 7. Now, what is the positive change has happened in our time? The infrastructure in the different departments was not very much developed, but at present, there has been improvement in the infrastructure in some of the institutes. Practice of Kriya Kalpa has increased, but where we are lacking, that is the publication in the index journal. We are working, but we are not publishing. And these are the measures, according to me, by which we can popularize Shalakya. We have to do like if we want to standardize the procedures, starting from the standardization of the raw drugs, process standardization, and the finished product standardization, and the SOPs for all the procedures, while treating or managing integrated approach. Then we have to have the training in the modern ophthalmology, ENT, dentistry, including the diagnostic techniques for Ayurveda students, both at UG and PG levels, and providing infrastructure for the research. And most important, another thing, as I told earlier, the publication. So we need to do multicentric trial with the larger sample size, and documentation and the publication is key to success. Thank you once again. I would like to thank authorities of Parul Ayurveda Institute for giving me this opportunity, for inviting me and sharing my views regarding Shalakya Tantra. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam. The madam has given us the overview of surgical as well as therapeutical contribution of Shalakya Tantra in the Urdhva Jatrugat Vikaras, its present status and future scope. Thank you so much, madam, for your words. Now, I would love to invite our today's guest speaker, that is Dr. Shamsa Fiaz, madam. Madam is currently working as professor and HOD in the PG department of Shalakya Tantra, NIA, Jaipur. Madam has academic experience of more than 18 years for UG and PG students, and also 20 years of clinical experience. Madam has guided the dissertation work of 30 PG and 8 PhD students. Madam has published 48 papers in peer-reviewed journals and presented 22 papers as a resource person. Madam was also invited as a guest speaker at international conference in London, and she has delivered a speech on Ayurveda for the health of Indriyas. Madam has also received many awards like Mahatma Gandhi Shanti Award 2014, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Azad Award 2015, and Academic Excellence Award 2015. So this is the brief introduction of our today's guest speaker, Dr. Shamsha Madam. Now I would like to invite the Madam for today's guest speaking lecture.
गौरी परमार गुजराती है ना?
Thank you very much, madam, for the brief introduction. So before I start my presentation, I would like to highlight briefly about the Shalakya Tantra and the work of TASC. So TASC, as you know, is the All India branch of ophthalmology, ENT and dentistry. And our president is very active, as you have seen. He has organized these lecture series and webinars. And every year we organize national or international conferences all over India. And also this TASC has a journal. So I would like to request all the viewers to publish their articles in this TASC journal. And our Parul University also have sponsored this event, and our secretary Manjari Keshkar madam is very active, and she has been conducting these lectures as we have seen in the last 3 days. And I am very much thankful to the Dean of Parul University for organizing this webinar series, which is uplifting and upgrading the knowledge of all the Shalakis all over India in these times of COVID-19. So I am very happy that today I am going to highlight briefly about the etiopathogenesis of Pratishyaya and its management, mainly keeping in view of this COVID-like situation, because the symptoms of COVID are similar to the symptoms of Pratishyaya. Both are disease of Pranavaha Srotas. So that's why I would like to focus on few of the important etiopathogenic factors which are very important in order to treat and manage this COVID-like situation all over the country. Okay, before I begin, so I think all of you are able to see my slides. So as you all know, the nose is a very important organ. It is the beginning. It starts with the beginning of the Pranavaha Srota, and it is considered as the air conditioner of the lungs. And also we should not forget that this nose is having this olfactory area, which is considered as the dangerous area of the nose. And also we have this dangerous area of the face, which is in the upper lip and the vestibule. And any infection in this area can spread to the cavernous sinus, giving rise to cavernous sinus thrombosis. And also an important advantage of these two areas is that any drug which is administered in this area has the chances of entering up to the olfactory area and also the higher centers of the brain. And also through this vestibular area, upper lip and vestibular area and the inferior meatus, it can enter into the cavernous sinus. So in that way, we can...
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, 1 second. Ma'am, your PPT is not visible.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Your PPT is not visible, ma'am.
Okay. One. It is not visible. Hmm. 1 minute, 1 second, I'm just going. Is it visible now?
No, ma'am.
No.
It's still not visible. Okay, ma'am. Visible now.
Visible?
Yes, ma'am. Visible. You can carry on, ma'am.
Okay. What about my this thing? I'm also audible, no?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible too, and PPT is also visible. You can go ahead, ma'am.
But I cannot change my slides. Now is it visible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. PPT is visible.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
So, as a I would like to just focus on this statement that NASA is Shiraswadhara. The medicines which is administered in the NASA reaches the Shiras and other sense organs. So that is why with looking into the modern anatomical and physiological aspects, we can definitely prove that this medicine is reaching this areas, and also it's showing its efficacy. And then next, I would like to also highlight about this disease Pratishyaya, which was a great concern for our acharyas in those days. And that is why it was considered as a Pradhana Roga. And all the diseases of the NASA, in fact, begin with Pratishyaya. And not only NASA Rogas, but other diseases like Karna Rogas, then Raja Yakshma, and some very dreadful diseases like Andhatva Badhirya also manifest with the etiology of Pratishyaya if they are not treated properly, well in time, or if they are neglected. So in that way, we can understand the importance of Pratishyaya, and whatever treatment has been highlighted by our acharyas is justified even today, and we can successfully treat the different types of Pratishyayas based on Ayurvedic line of management. And as I have previously highlighted, this Nasya Karma is one of the best treatment for treating the diseases of all Nasa Rogas. And not only Nasa Rogas, but also all the diseases of the sense organs as well as the Shiras. So in that way, we can just know how this Pratishyaya is a cause for concern for for many of the diseases, as I have highlighted. Not only that, it will, if Pratishyaya is neglected, it gives rise to Kasa, that is cough. And if that cough also is neglected, it gives rise to Shwasa, that is bronchitis. And if that stage also is neglected, then it gives rise to Shwasa. So this is a very scientific justification. And what symptoms we are seeing in present scenario of COVID-19, it begins with the rhinitis, which and then proceeds towards cough. As the infection is descending into the lower respiratory tract, the symptoms worsen. There will be cough, then bronchitis, then there will be pneumonia, and in that way it will cause degenerative changes of the whole lungs, and thereby it will become fatal to the patient. So that is why we have to start the treatment at an early onset, so that we can give the proper cure at the right time, and we can overcome this disease. So when we look into our classics, we find two terms in Pratishyaya, Prati and Shyaya. So what is the meaning of Prati is the movement of the dosha. So Prati and Shyaya indicates that in the nose, there will be movement of doshas in the opposite direction. So in order to understand this phenomena, we have to focus on the normal physiological process which is taking place in our nasal cavity. So this nose is covered by a mucus blanket. So this mucus blanket is a very protective blanket which is acting like a conveyor belt, and it is being replaced from in the process of 2 to 3 minutes, and it will, this old mucus blanket will be replaced by a new one. So what is the epithelium? So this cilia in the nose beat in one direction towards the nasopharynx, And this cilia, it is having two layers. Above the cilia, we have two layers, a sol layer and a gel layer. So this sol layer is a serous layer, which this serous secretion is derived from the various glands which are present in the nasal mucous membrane. And also this gel layer, which is little sticky in nature, it is derived from the secretions of the mucous glands. And this layer is enveloping the whole of the nasal cavity. And the significance of this layer is any virus or bacteria, any dust particle which enters
Ma'am, your voice is not coming, ma'am.
crosses the nasal vibrissae cavity. So this, when it sticks to this mucous blanket, so we have immunoglobulins, interferon, and other secretion, IgG antibodies, etc., which will engulf this virus and bacteria, and they will kill that at the entrance itself. And these dead bodies, further of this virus and bacteria, will be carried over, and they reach either to the throat, wherein we swallow it, or it is expelled through the sputum. So in this way, this mucous blanket is very protective. Here we can understand the importance of our immunity. So if the immunity is compromised, then this interferon and other important enzymes and immunoglobulins which are secreted in the nasal cavity will be not secreted in a sufficient quantity so that they can kill this virus and bacteria. So that is why we have to strengthen our immunity. So for strengthening our immunity, this Vyadhi Shamitva Chikitsa is very important. We have to use the medicines which are prescribed by our ancient acharyas, particularly in Pratishyaya, wherein they have prescribed a few rasayanas, which we have to take in order to build up this immunity. So that is why you can understand how these doshas are moving in the direction towards the nasopharynx in normalcy. But in Pratishyaya, the dosha which is responsible for bringing down these doshas is Vata dosha, because as you know, Vata is the dosha which is responsible for movement, and this Pitta and Kapha are Kapha and other doshas, they cannot move individually. So this Vata dosha, that is through the ciliary action, will move these other doshas towards the nasopharynx, that is the mucous blanket, and thereby eliminate this virus or bacteria or any dust particle or a sputum, etc., from time to time, which we are not aware of in normalcy. But when the disease Pratishyaya manifests, then this phenomena will be reversed. So the doshas, instead of moving in upward direction, they move in downward direction, and thereby they are eliminated in excess and they come out through the nasopharynx, that is through the nose. So that is the phenomena, that is Vatam Prati Abhimukha Shyayo Gamana Kafadinam Etrasa Pratishyaya. That is the shloka which we can justify based on this modern scientific significance. And also in Pratishyaya, the main dosha along with the Vata dosha, which is important for the movement of the doshas and all the ciliary activity, etc. The other doshas also play an important role, like Kapha dosha, which is important for maintaining this sol layer and gel layer within the nasal cavity, because if this layer is disturbed, if the sol layer is in excess, then also the ciliary function will not take place properly, and if this gel layer or the mucus is in excess, or if it is reduced also, then that normal physiological function will be disturbed. For this, the serous secretion, about 1000 ml of serous secretion is secreted in 24 hours for this proper functioning. And along with this serous secretion, we have all these immunoglobulins, etc., which will also further do the action of promoting immunity within the nasal cavity. So in that way, we can understand how our acharyas have justified this statement and how we can really understand this. This is the structure of the mucous blanket, wherein we have the ciliated columnar epithelium, on which we have the cilia will be floating on two layers. One is the serous layer, and over top of that we have the mucous layer or the gel layer, which will help in trapping the virus or bacteria or any fine dust particles, so that our lungs will be protected and any such virus or bacteria will not enter into the lungs easily. So that is why our body itself is very defensive in action, and it will try to eliminate these toxic substances before they enter into our sensitive
lungs. So that is why we can understand the importance of nasal breathing. So that is why in order to highlight this, we have to encourage this pranayama and other yoga process in order to improve the breathing through the nose. So this is very important. Even in present scenario, we have to go for pranayama so that we can promote this natural immunity, and so that our physiological functioning in the nose takes place properly. Then we have this Samanya Pratishaya Nidana. So when we look into this Nidana, we can understand that the main positive factors for this Pratishaya are Asapna Indriya Artha Samyoga. That is, if we are not using our sense organs in the desired way, either we use it in Ati Yoga or Hina Yoga or Mithya Yoga, wrongful, if we use our senses in a wrong way, then these factors are very important for causation of many of the diseases of the sense organs. And also Prajna Parada. If we are not following whatever our ancient acharyas have prescribed, the seasonal variations and what we have to take in each and every season, then we will definitely suffer from this consequences, as it is clearly indicated in Parinama. So in Parinama, we have to follow our diet and vihara as per the season. So that is, and also one of the factor which is important nowadays is Rutu Vaishamya. There is sudden disturbance in the season, very hot weather or very cold weather, or monsoon season continuously will affect all the changes in the normal functioning of the nose, and thereby it will disturb the normal physiological processes and bring out this disease Pratishaya. So which we normally see that in the times of very cold weather or very hot weather, we usually suffer from this Pratishaya. Like we have perennial allergic rhinitis, you can see, which is present throughout the year, or seasonal allergic rhinitis, which is present only during the hay season or the spring season. So, and also this
excuse me ma'am, excuse me ma'am, मैम आप full screen कर दीजिए slide का.
Okay.
हाँ, yes ma'am.
One minute. Okay, sorry for the disturbance.
No issues ma'am. और मैम अगर आपके स्क्रीन के आसपास और कोई भी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डिवाइस है तो उसको थोड़ा डिस्टेंस पे
अच्छा, हाँ, ओके, आई नो, हाँ, उसे दूर रखो, मोबाइल. Now is it visible?
Yes ma'am. Yes. Yeah. Okay ma'am.
So, and also we see that Viruddha Ahara is also one trend which is seen especially in these youngsters because of this faulty food habits and eating of foods like pizzas, then burgers, and our children are often not taking the healthy diet which is prescribed by our acharyas, and that is one cause for concern for not only this Pratishaya but other diseases. And also nowadays, even though we are having this Viharajanya factors, like we are, even though we cover our face with a mask, but at the same time we cannot sometimes be free from this inhalant allergens and also the irritants and the smoke and the dust particles which are often found in our atmosphere. So this atmospheric pollution is also playing a great role in manifestation of this pranavaha srotasis. And now you see this COVID-19 also. It is an infected viral transmission which is seen in the atmosphere. So if this cases of COVID-19 spread in this pandemic way, then even with protection by protective face mask also, we will not be able to prevent the virus from entering, because it is very difficult. We cannot wear the mask all the 24 hours. That will also disturb the normal physiological processes. So if this vihara is playing a great role in present scenario in order to bring out these diseases, latest diseases like this COVID-19 and other allergic manifestations, which we are not able to avoid. And we definitely have to think a solution for overcoming this problem in global scenario, because it is affecting the whole world. We have to come across we have to protect our environment so that we can be free from these toxins and other viral and bacterial manifestations which are freely found in the air in which we are breathing. So we have to purify this air, which is a source of prana and which is again going to nourish our whole life systems. And also when we look into the etiological factors of Pratishyaya, we can come across two things. One is the Sadyajjanak Nidana and the Kalantarjanak Nidana, which are Acharyas have clearly specified that some Nidanas will be very powerful and they will manifest the disease Pratishyaya immediately. So this we can see depends upon also on the immunity or the Vyadhishamatva. So that is why we see that in this recent pandemic, so COVID cases are, even if a person's immunity is compromised, then definitely he will suffer from this, he will catch this virus entry and he will suffer from the symptoms. But there are some patients who are, even though who are COVID positive, but they are asymptomatic. So this asymptomatic is because their Vyadhishamata, it will because of their immunity, they will resist the disease and thereby they will not show the disease in due course of time. But it may take a process. So that here we can understand the significance of this Kalantara Janaka Pratishyaya, wherein this whenever the doshic factors or the disease factors enter into the nose, they will not be, they will take some time in order to manifest. So here you can see that there will be the Kriyakala stages, which has been specified by Sushruta. They will follow all these stages. They will get accumulated in due course of time. Then they will undergo prasara, then prakopa, and then they will spread to the disease site and thereby manifest the symptoms. So in that way, this Kalantara Janaka Pratishyaya may take around 14 days. So that is why during this COVID-19 pandemic, they have given a specified period of 14 days for the symptoms to manifest. And if a patient, even though he is COVID positive and asymptomatic, he should be kept under observation so that his symptoms during this span, if he overcomes these symptoms in this 14-day span, then definitely he will not, his body immunity is strong enough to kill this virus or and thereby will not show the symptoms. So that's why this is very important period of 14 days, which is considered as an observational period, especially for those patients of COVID positive. And Sadyajjanak Nidana.
Excuse me, ma'am, PPT is not visible.
Again?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Then here you can see the this thing, Nidanas, which are highlighted by our acharyas, like Avashyaya. So Avashyaya Anila Rajo Bhashya Ati Swapna Jagaraihi Nicha Ati Uchaiha Upadanena Pitena Anyena Varini. So this we can consider all these Nidanas as very important causes for the disease Pratishyaya, because I will be highlighting in the other slides how this Avashyaya and
PPT is not visible, ma'am.
is not visible.
Ma'am, आपको उसको pin करना है. From the account you are presenting your PPT, you have to pin the account.
Resume your presentation. It is in resume the presentation.
Yes, it is visible now. It's visible now.
Okay. Full screen, shall I do full screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Can you see now?
It is not seen as full screen.
Full screen karo. Okay, the full screen.
छोटा ही आ रहा है ना.
Can you see now?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible
Okay.
now.
Sorry for the disturbance. Okay. So in that way, we can understand that how these Nidanas are important, and in present scenario also, how this Avashyaya, that is the change in sudden cold atmospheric condition, will bring about changes in the nasal physiological functioning and thereby represent the disease. So let us see how this disease, these are the other factors which I would like to explain these factors in the light of modern science so that we can understand how it is going to affect our physiological functioning. So in that way, we have seen that in looking at the positive factors, this Ajirna, Mandagni, and this Ama Utpatti is one of the main cause for Pratishaya. So the cause for this may be not only restricted to the nose, but also to the Amashaya. So that is why here, instead of concentrating or focusing only on the site of pathogenesis, which is the nose, but in case of Kalantara Janaka Pratishaya, these factors also are manifested in the stomach, and thereby after these doshas from the stomach, they are distributed to different dhatus, and thereby when it comes to the nose, then it will show its importance. So here we can see because of this ajirna, there will be autonomic stimulation of which is resulted on account of eating with a heavy stomach, on a heavy stomach, like continuously if the person is taking heavy meals, that will also give rise to this autonomic stimulation, and because of this there will be some changes in the nose which will cause inferior turbinate hypertrophy. And also whenever we take oily and very spicy food, like it is also mentioned in case of Shavatu, eating very spicy food will stimulate the nose, and it will give rise to bouts of sneezing, so that can be manifested in the form of non-allergic rhinitis. And also Mandagni is a very important factor, and that is which has to be taken care in any Pratishaya Rogi, because this Mandagni will give rise to the formation, not only the formation of ama, but also it will give rise to malabsorption syndrome. Because of that, the important nutrients which we take regularly, which will not be absorbed in sufficient quantity, like vitamin A, C, and D, etc., which is very helpful for maintaining the nutritional status and also protecting our immunity. So this immunocompromised state occurs because of this state of Mandagni. So that is why in Pratishaya Chikitsa, treating Mandagni is one of the focus, and this we can understand when our acharyas have mentioned that you have to go for Langhana for 3 days or 5 to 5 days, and that is the basic concept of Pratishaya Chikitsa. So this is because they want to improve the Agni levels so that we can eat whatever is taken by the stomach. It has to be digested properly, and also it has to enter into the specific dhatu so that our immunity also will be not under compromising conditions. And also when we look into the factors like Vishamashan, so nowadays we are consuming, unknowingly we are consuming so many apatya ahara, like taking this egg or non-veg items with milk or anything viruddha ahara, what has been preserved. There are so many viruddha aharas like kala viruddha, desha viruddha, and dosha viruddha. So many factors have been mentioned which we need to highlight at each and every point. We come to know that we are following so much we are taking food which are not compatible with each other at the same time. So this Vishamashana is one of the cause for giving rise to hypersensitivity reactions, and thereby creating some proteins which are acting as allergic to our body. So that is why we are suffering from diseases like allergic rhinitis, etc., which is because of the doshic imbalance which is produced in our body. And also they have told that in Pratishaya, if we take Guru Madhura ahara continuously, so this ahara will definitely alter the polysaccharide change. It will cause polysaccharide changes, and that will alter the metabolism, etc., and thereby this polysaccharide changes also will give rise to some alterations, especially in endocrinal or metabolic factors, which will give rise to some diseases like hypothyroidism, and that will also give rise to this Pratishaya and other diseases, kapha related diseases, because of this alteration in this polysaccharide chain. And also you can see that these factors are also responsible for diseases like hypothyroidism, diabetes, etc. Along with that, to aid with that, even if we go for other vihara, like if we lack of exercises, etc., then it will give rise to a chronic rhinitis. So this continuously taking Guru Madhura ahara as well as the lack of sedentary lifestyle will give rise to chronic rhinitis, because rhinitis as such, it is comparable to Pratishaya. So a Pratishaya rogi, if he is continuously taking this type of food pattern and also viruddha vihara, then definitely Charaka has told that disease will land up in a chronic form. So Vataja, Pittaja, Kaphaja, or Raktaja Pratishaya, or Tidoshaja Pratishaya will give rise to a chronic form of rhinitis that is considered as Dushta Pratishaya. So these are the patterns of which go from one stage to another and thereby land up in a difficult situation wherein it will not be difficult for us to treat. And also hema or shita sevana or because of this avashaya, etc. So there will be the atmosphere will be filled with cold air. So this cold air, whenever a cold air enters into our nose, our body has the capability of converting this cold air into warm air, and it will bring the normal temperature, that is the air which will be heated up by the numerous vessels, that is the with below the turbinates we have this cascade of blood vessels which will heat up the cold air, and they will warm up it to more normal temperature and before sending it to the lungs. So whenever continuously when we are in cold air or we are taking we are exposed to this vihara like swimming, diving, etc. in cold water, then this our body will not be able to convert this very cold air into warm air and send it to the lungs so that there will be proper air conditioning. So this phenomena will be disturbed because to some extent our body can withstand and it can do, but when continuously we are going to put it under pressure, then definitely there will be because of this continuous blood supply to the nose, there will be turbinate hypertrophy, then there will be the blood vessels, sometimes they will be obliterated and it will give rise to this functioning will be disturbed, and thereby instead of cold air entering into the lungs, warm air entering into the lungs, the air which is cold and which is not purified will be entering into the lungs, and thereby the lungs have to suffer in the end. So that is why continuously we should not we should avoid this type of atmospheric conditions, because you can see that whenever we are in a cold place, there will be redness of the face, redness of the nose, etc., because more blood supply is sent to the nose in order to warm up this cold air. And also we have seen that ati shita ambupana, some people are in the habit of drinking cold water continuously, and they also take not only cold water but also cold drinks, etc., which will directly this will constrict the blood vessels, especially when they are taking through the oral cavity. Some directly drink from the bottle, so this will cause directly it will constrict the blood vessels. So whenever this blood vessels are constricted, then the viruses, etc., which are present numerously in the oral and nasal passages will be they will come into they will be precipitated, and thereby they will be sudden vasoconstriction will precipitate these viruses, and thereby it will give rise to infectious conditions. And also Vegadharana is one of the main cause for many of the conditions. So when we look into because of this Vegadharana, there will be transient changes in the vascular tone and permeability, which will definitely give rise to imbalance in the autonomic nervous system, which is definitely controlling the erectile tissue of the nose. So in that way, Vegadharana is directly giving rise to changes in the nose, especially in case of vasomotor rhinitis. There will be imbalance of the vasomotor system, and thereby it will manifest in that in those symptoms, which we will highlight later. Then we also see that Diva Swapna, then Ratri Jagrana, etc. So this will disturb the physiological functioning in the brain. So because we think that these are very minor nidana, we can because nowadays we see that children also, they don't sleep in proper timing. They will do Ratri Jagrana and they will sleep in the daytime. So this will disturb the prefrontal lobe of the brain, which is definitely controlling our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and thereby there will be the whole well-being of a person will be disturbed. And we can also feel it in common that if we don't sleep in the night time, our whole day will be disturbed because of this psychological and emotional factors will play a great role in manifesting some of the diseases, especially in case of vasomotor rhinitis. So that is why if a person is continuously exposed to these etiological factors, definitely he will suffer not only from this pratishaya, but also other psychological and emotional disturbances and other diseases. And ati bhashya. So this is also a very important phenomena which we see, those, especially those who are continuously speaking for long hours together, they will first develop faulty voice production. Then there will be hoarseness of voice, and later on here also, because of this dryness will be created because of continuous speaking. Vata will be vitiated, there will be dryness, and this dryness will give rise to pharyngitis, and this pharyngitis again, it will precipitate the viruses and push the infection not only into the throat, it will also push it into the nose and the ears, giving rise to pratishyaya or otitis media, etc. So and avashyaya, as I have already told, that it is also going to reflexly alter the nasal mucus flow and the thermoregulatory mechanism which I have highlighted. So because of this avashyaya, continuously if we are exposed to this, there will be nasal congestion, then there will be turbinate hypertrophy, etc. And the pulmonary resistance will indirectly be affected. It will be reduced because of these factors if we are done continuously. And then Ati Maithuna. So Ati Maithuna is a very important factor which has been mentioned by most of our acharyas. So this Ati Maithuna will give rise to this autonomic stimulation, and this is autonomic stimulation because of excess sexual activity, and also it will give rise to inferior turbinate hypertrophy, and also you can come across one more important rhinitis, which is specially called as honeymoon rhinitis. That is because of excess sexual stimulation, it will give rise to nasal stuffiness, etc. So this Ati Maithuna is not only cause for this autonomic stimulation, giving rise to other changes in the nose, but also it will give rise to ojakshaya. So ojas, because this shukra, from this shukra, the ojas is secreted. So if this shukra, quantity of shukra is reduced, then the oja production will be reduced, and thereby the immunity of the person will be compromised because of this Ati Maithuna. So that is why brahmacharya is recommended in order to develop this shukra properly, so that the ojas also will be secreted in proper quantity, so that will help in building up the immunity against different kinds of diseases. Then Raja is also an important factor here. That is the pollens or the grass, etc. When it enters, especially during the spring season, these are very small structures which can easily enter into the nose and thereby produce an antigen antibody reaction, and thereby because of this antigen antibody reaction, histamines and other prostaglandins, etc. will be liberated. So these histamines and prostaglandins will give rise to nasal congestion. Then they will increase activity of the serous mucinous glands, and then there will be muscles will be relaxed, and thereby there will be mucosal edema and other changes, congestion, etc., which will be seen in the nose. Hypersense and other hypersensitivity reactions also takes place because of this. And the same thing like dhuma also, we can take dhuma not only as the cigarette smoke, but it can be taken as polluted air in the form of traffic fumes or domestic space. Those who are working in such occupations wherein they are constantly exposed to some chemicals, toxins, etc. So because of that, sometimes the air will also be contaminated with poisonous gases like carbon monoxide, etc., which will enter into a respiratory system, and definitely it will cause damage to the lungs. So that is why this dhuma also is a very important factor which is going to compromise with the normal functioning of the nose and thereby reduce the nasal immunity. And also we have seen that Shiro Abhitapa, how the Shiro Abhitapa, it will not only cause many diseases, but also here, especially during birth trauma, it will give rise to the malfunctioning of the septum. That is the septum, it will give rise to septal defects in the form of C-shaped deviation, S-shaped deviation, which is a cause for precipitating of infection, rhinitis and sinusitis, etc. in later years. And also we have seen any external injuries to the nose will cause fracture, dislocation of the nasal septum. It will give rise to a very important condition that is called as CSF rhinorrhea, wherein the CSF, because the roof of the nose is covered by a very thin cribriform plate, and any damage to this plate will be direct, because just above that we have the frontal lobe of the brain, and also we have the meninges which are also coming into the olfactory area. So this perforation, minor perforation of this plate will give rise to leakage of CSF, which is between the dura and the arachnoid matter, and thereby it leaks out from the nose, and we think that it may be a form of rhinitis, which will be not, and it will give rise to serious consequences in the form of meningitis in later on. And this bhashpa nigraha also is whenever there is that excess of tears are secreted, So we see that there will be some emotional disturbance. So this emotional disturbance will give rise to will compromise with the normal functioning of the brain. And also we see that excess of tears will drain out to the nasolacrimal duct, and that will also give rise to excess of tears will also block that, and also will give rise to excess of tears in the eyes. There will be anxiety, tension, humiliation, resentment. All these are manasika karanas, which will definitely give rise to a condition, especially here in the nose. I would like to see vasomotor rhinitis. This is one cause for this bhashpa nigraha, or any emotional ups and downs will give rise to this important disease called vasomotor rhinitis. And also dhula can be taken as any exogenous inhalants in the form of very fine particles like dust, pollen, etc., which are commonly found in the atmosphere. And also by keeping the pillow at a very high level or a low level, it will give rise to the changes in the posture, that is especially the cervical posture will be disturbed, and also there will be nasal resistance because of pressure. So here there will be pressure in the jugular venous pressure changes in jugular venous pressure, and thereby it will reflexly change the sympathetic tone of the nose. So in that way it will directly going to cause this vasomotor rhinitis and other forms of rhinitis because of the changes in the jugular venous pressure. And also chardi nigraha is a very important factor. So whenever there is chardi, we see that some particles come out through the mouth, but most of the particles it will also come out through the nose. So in that way, when these toxic substances and which are acidic in nature, when they enter into the nose, they will give rise to a type of irritative rhinitis. So that is the irritants which are present in the stomach will be liberated, and also many toxins, especially when it is infected, there will be some toxins which will directly enter into the nose, and it will give rise to inflammatory response, and in that way give rise to irritative type of rhinitis. So I have already highlighted how this Ritu Vaishamya is very important, because it will change the pattern of humidity, then temperature, and this humidity is very important factor. When the air is very dry, then this ciliary secretions has to be secreted in more quantity, because this air will be very dry. Air has to be mixed up with 70% of water molecules. This water molecules are derived from the serous secretion. So whenever the air is very dry, then more amount of serous secretion has to be taking place in the nose. It has to be secreted in the nose, because it has to humidify this this water molecules will help in humidification of this dry air. And because at 50% humidity, the ciliary function stops. So that is why the humidification is very important for proper functioning of the cilia, and with excess of water molecules, because this sol layer and gel layer will be disturbed if the air is not purified, or if it is not mixed with sufficient water molecules, and thereby it will give rise to this rhinitis. And krodha, as you all know, that it is a very strong emotional and psychological disturbance which is taking place in our body, and that is why we have to avoid such factors like anger, then fatigue, anxiety, etc., which will give rise to some transient changes, especially in the vascular tone and permeability, which are brought about, which will definitely give rise to disturbance in the autonomic nervous system. Then atapa, that is dry and hot atmosphere. Again, here also the disturbance in the normal physiological functioning, especially if a person is working in a hot furnace or in a dry precipitated environment, then he will suffer from a condition called as rhinitis sicca. And if this rhinitis sicca is limited only to the anterior surface of the nose, and because of this drying and heating up of the drying the nasal mucosa, especially in the anterior parts of the nose. Then ati jala krida, that is swimming, diving, etc. As you know that the water will enter into the ears also, and it will give rise to not only the ear, it will also enter into the sinuses and give rise to sinusitis, otitis media, and different types of infectious conditions in the nose. And also it is one cause for pratishaya. And also nowadays alcohol intake has become very common. So, but it is not only causing other systemic diseases, but also it will give rise to mucosal edema, especially in the nose, giving, and also congestion, and in and also it will disturb the mental status of the person, so that his there will be abnormal functioning of the mental status, and thereby it will give rise to this condition. So when we look into these factors, we see that this samprapti is very important. So here again, the Samprapti differs for this Sadhyajanak and Kalantarajanak Pratishaya. In Sadhyajanak Pratishaya, the factors will be so strong that they will manifest the disease immediately. That is Chayam Gata Murdani Maruta Daya Pruthak Samastasya Tataiva Shonitam. Here, this factors, that is the doshas, that nidana, which will be give rise to accumulation of the doshas, and they will get accumulated. So here the accumulation of doshas take place in the shiras, and it will vitiate the other doshas which are present at the localized site, that is the vata and the kapha and other pitta doshas, which will disturb the normal functioning of the cilia, as well as that is the mucociliary action will be disturbed, and also this doshas will mix either in singly, that is pruthak, or samastasya. It will combine with other doshas, and along with the shonita, because that is also very important factor, it will manifest the disease pratishaya. So in that way, this whenever it undergoes prakopa, it will show vividha prakopanam. That is, the lakshanas also are manifested in a vivid way depending upon the combination of the doshas. So that is why we cannot say that in allergic rhinitis only vata is vitiated. Here vata, because the other symptoms of doshas are present, like there is kapha, so there will be pruritus. And also when there is pitta associated, there will be congestion, excess of congestion, etc. So in that way, we can say, looking at the signs and symptoms, that all the doshas are vitiated. So it is not only an individual. When it becomes chronic, there will be definitely involvement of the other doshas, and as the chronicity increases, the condition prognosis also increases, and it will become kashta sadhya. So in that way, in Sadhyajanaka Pratishaya, the factors are very strong. That is, the hetus or the precipitating factors will be very strong, and they will manifest the disease. Whereas in case of Kalantarajana Pratishaya, the factors will be very mild, and thereby they don't have that, they cannot manifest the disease as in such. So they will get accumulated in due course of time, and thereby they will manifest the disease pratishaya. So in that way, we can see how the nidana will give rise to Agni Mandya, that is at the level of Amashaya. Then it will vitiate the other doshas like Udana, Bhrajaka Pitta, then Tarpaka Kapha, and also they will give rise to Dhatu Vaishamya in the form of Rasa Rakta and Pranava Strota Dushti, and they will undergo Sthana Samshaya at a place that is in the Shiras, they have told. So Shiras can be taken not only as the head. Here we can include the sinuses also, because the nose is nasal mucous membrane is not only spread in the nose, but also it is enveloping the sinuses. So it is because of the continuity of this mucous membrane. So the infection from the nose can easily enter into the sinuses also. So here we can understand the importance of the word shiras, and thereby it will give rise, it will undergo sthana samshraya, and from there it will undergo prasara, and it will manifest the disease pratishaya. So here what I would like to say, that if the disease is manifested in Purva Rupa stage, so it will be very the symptoms will be very few, and if we start the treatment at that stage, definitely the disease will not progress further. We can control the disease with appropriate medication. Then leaving the disease without treating any with any particular medication, then the disease will be prolonged. So in that way, this is very important in order to understand what are the specific factors which are involved here. What are the Samprapti Vighatana is very important factor which we need to do for the treatment of any disease. So here we have to concentrate on main two doshas, that is the Vata and Kapha dosha, which are playing a major role, and we have to select any medicine which will pacify Vata and Kapha dosha, because at initial stage these two doshas are playing a major role. So if it is in the Purva Rupa stage, then this we have to give treatment to Vata and Kapha dosha, and also we have to also advise pranayama, etc., so that the vital status, that is the air also purified air also enters into the nose, so that we can control the disease at this stage. And also this Shleshmaka and Tarpaka Kapha are very important, because they will try to overcome this mucus blanket. That is, if this mucus blanket is disturbed, then the Shleshmaka and Tarpaka Kapha are very important to maintain this status of this mucus blanket. And also we have to avoid this Shita, Laghu, Chala and Khara gunas, which are very important for the manifestation of Vata dosha. So whatever diet you are prescribing, it should not be containing the Shita, Laghu, Chala and Khara gunas, which will vitiate the Vata dosha. And also in case of Kapha dosha also, Shita, Guru, Pichila, Mandha guna and will be very important for the excess production of this Kapha, so which we have to avoid. So in that way, we have to also, so at this stage, Samprapti Vighatana is very important. At this stage, we can treat the disease easily, but as it advances further, like in the form of Srota Dushti, there will be nasal passages will be obstructed, then there will be Vimarga Gamana and Ati Pravriti, and then formation of Sira Granthi in the form of Nasa arches or turbinate hypertrophy, etc. So in the, as the process advances, then the complications also will advance. So in that way, whenever we are treating pratishyaya, we have to always look into the symptoms. So it is not that as the patient suffers from pratishyaya, just blindly start the nasya and other procedures. So because it is very important to understand in which stage the vyadhi is manifested. So you should know whether it is an ama stage or pakva pratishyaya lakshanas. So whenever there is ama pratishyaya lakshanas, there will be shuddha gaurava or heaviness in the head, then aruchi, then nasasrava, Tanusrava, then Shtivana, and Mukha Virasa, there will be altered taste patterns and fever. And in case of Pakva Pratishyaya, there will be decrease in the symptoms of Ama Lakshanas, which I have specified now. And also the patients, also the Shiro Gaurava will vanish and the patient will be lightness of the head. And then there will be thick discharge, which is coming from the I mean, initially the discharge will be thin and watery, but in Pakva stage it will be thick. So here you have to go for different types of nasya. Then Swara Varna Vishuddhi, that is the voice which was normally there was hoarseness of voice, that will improve, and the voice also improves. So by this symptoms, we have to understand that this pratishyaya is in Pakva stage, and you have to start the other treatments as in the. So in that way, we can see that rhinitis, how it is infective and non-infective, depending upon the symptoms. It may be, most of the time it is viral in nature, and sometimes it is bacterial. Sometimes viral will be superimposed with bacterial infection. And also, whenever this rhinitis becomes chronic, then we have this different types of this thing, pratishyaya, like chronic simple rhinitis, hypertrophic, atrophic, rhinitis sicca, and caseosa. So, and we also have non-infective rhinitis like allergic and vasomotor, which may be allergic, may be seasonal or perennial. So in that way, this pratishyaya has to be diagnosed based on the discharge, and based on the symptoms, we can see whenever based on the character of discharge. So in Vataja pratishyaya, the discharge will be clear and watery, and all those conditions wherein there is clear watery rhinorrhea like allergic vasomotor rhinitis, CSF rhinorrhea, rhinitis medicamentosa, it should be treated on the basis of Vataja pratishyaya. And whenever the discharge is mucomucoid, it should be treated on the basis of Kaphaja pratishyaya. And whenever the discharge is mucopurulent, it should be understood as a bacterial rhinitis. And whenever there is Praktaja pratishyaya, the discharge character will be hemorrhagic in nature. So we can see this in case of atrophic rhinitis, tubercular or syphilitic rhinitis, and the treatment should be based on that. So in that way, examination also will help in us in concluding about the changes, and thereby fixing the treatment like depending upon the doshic manifestation and the signs and symptoms at which stage it is. So in that way, in Vataja pratishyaya, you have to go for Vatahara Chikitsa, and especially they have specified Arditavat Chikitsa. And in Vataja pratishyaya, there will be main obstruction will be there. There will be dryness, etc., which has to be treated with some Madhuragana dravyas like Panchalavana Siddhagrita or Vidari Vikrita should be given. So in allergic rhinitis, definitely we can treat this based on Vata and Kaphaja. Because if Vataja and Kaphaja symptoms are there, then Vata Kaphahara Chikitsa has to be given. And in case of most of the time, this common cold is very abundantly seen, and most of us suffer from this coryza. So because of that, we have to give this Vatahara Chikitsa in this stage also, because it is a ama stage of pratishyaya. And also in case of vasomotor rhinitis, apart from this, we can go for Arditavat Chikitsa, and at the same time, we can go for this depressants, etc. will be, if the patient is taking these medicines, they should be stopped. And in case of, in that way, Kaphaja pratishyaya, it is very important for the patient to go for Langhana, and we have to, what I would like to say for Kaphaja pratishyaya, always go for Avapidana Nasya than Tyla Nasya, because that will give like Guda Nagara, etc. that will give a very good result. And so this Kaphaja pratishyaya can be correlated to this chronic simple rhinitis based on the signs and symptoms. So, and also based on the symptom of sign of Shunakshikuta Shotha, it can be correlated to sinusitis. So, in that way, I would like to prefer this Opidananasya in the form of Vachapipali, or if you are going for Tailanasya, let it be Kalingadi or Shigru Taila, etc. And also in case of Pittaja Pratishaya, we have to give this Kapolyadi Siddhagrita Nasya or Shitala Parishek Pradeha, etc. And because this is a type of bacterial rhinitis, so the treatment should be Pitta Shamuka here at this stage. And in case of Raktaja Pratishaya, there will be Rakta Shaya, that is, there will be Rakta Srava from the nose and chances of Uro Aghata, and there will be possibility of Krimi. So that's why here we have to use some Pitta Shamaka Chikitsa along with this Surasadi Gana Dravyas and also Krimihara Gana Dravyas. So rhinitis sicca and atrophic rhinitis can be considered in Raktaja Pratishaya. And when it comes to Sanniprataja Pratishaya, it goes into a chronic stage of rhinitis wherein there will be a spontaneous appearance and disappearance of symptoms. They will be either manifested in Pakva stage or Apakva stage. There will be intense pain, and it is symptoms of penisa are seen in this stage of Sannipataja Pratishaya. So it will become little Kashta Sadhya than the other types of Pratishaya. So this can be taken as chronic hypertrophic rhinitis, wherein there will be thickening of the mucosa, the discharge is sticky and stagnated. There will be atrophy of seromucinous glands. Here we have to go for this Tailanasya, which will be very helpful in order to overcome this. And also we have a separate disease called Dushta Pratishaya, which is very important because all Pratishayas, when they are neglected, it will give rise to this Dushta Pratishaya, which is considered as a Yapya Roga. Here we have to use some medicines which are very Tikshna, Ushna, and like Vidangadi Nasya, then Nasapana, etc., which will help in maintaining the hygiene of the nose. And this can be considered to a state of rhinosinusitis, wherein the diseases has become more chronic. And thus we can, looking at the complications as I have highlighted, like Badhirya, Andhatva, etc. So we can see that it is not a simple disease, Pratishaya. We have to give proper care and attention in order to treat this disease effectively. And also we see this disease in other conditions like Jwara, Udavarta, Amajana, Gulma, Raktapitta, Rajakshma, and Shirorogas. So that is why we can understand the importance which our Acharyas have clearly identified of this disease. And that's why whenever we are planning treatment, it should be Langhana, Deepana, Pachana, and depending upon the stage, we can classify whether it is in Ama stage and Pakva stage. In Ama stage, you have to go for this treatment, and in Pakva stage, you have to go for more of Ghrutapana, Rasayana, Kavala, Gandusha, etc. because this doshas will be stagnated, and we have to try to remove this stagnated doshas. And also this Nadi Sweda, Potli Sweda, then Shankara Sweda also help in removing this material from the nose, and thereby it will give rise to this it will cause normal functioning of the nose. So in that way, Asthapana Basti also can be planned in case of chronic rhinitis, wherein there is no, and also in case of Dushta Pratishaya, wherein we are not getting proper treatment. Along with that, diet is a very important which we have to focus. We have to take Ghrutapana, then Mamsarasa. This is mainly to improve the immunity, and lukewarm milk, especially with this Ardraka, which is very important in order to improve the immune system. And also this Bhojana also we should be lukewarm, and we should avoid this Kafakara, Ahara, and Vihara. So these are some of the Shamana Chikitsa which I have found very helpful in different types of Pratishaya, Yoshya Divati, then Mahalakshmi Vilasarasa, Mrityunjaya Rasa, especially Haridra Khanda in allergic rhinitis. So, and Rasayanas like Agastya Haritaki or this Pippali Rasayana, Vagri Haritaki are very important, and it should be given in each and every patient of Pratishaya. So in that way, different for each Pratishaya, our Acharyas have specified different forms of treatment. Because of lack of time, I would not be able to discuss this. So in that way, you can understand that how Dhumanasya, Dhumapana, nasal fumigation, etc. will help in overcoming the different stages in Pratishaya. And don't forget that diet is very important, especially if a Pratishaya Rogi does not follow proper diet, then his disease will land up in a chronic stage. So in that way, this apatya also should be avoided, like Shitala Jala, etc., which are the causative factors for Pratishaya. And Karna Bandhana, Mukha Bandhana also is Bhumishaya should be avoided, and Karna Bandhana should be encouraged. And so in that way, I would like to recommend all of you to go for breathing exercise, especially during this pandemic time, so that we can provide better nasal resistance. So thank you for patient listening. Thank you. If you have any doubts, you can go for question. Ainan? Hello.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your wonderful experience to the UG, PG students, faculties, and young researchers of Shalakya Tantra people all across the India. It was the pure essence of Madam's 20 years experience. I am pretty sure the lecture delivered today by you will be helpful to the students who attended this session today. Before we open for question and answer session, I would like to convey a message that today is the death anniversary of Professor Labashankar Shukla. He was the pioneer of dental treatment in Gujarat and entire country, especially for painless tooth extraction by Jalandhar Bandh Yoga. He was Legend Shalaki Award recipient. We acknowledge his contribution in the field of Ayurvedic dentistry and pay our tribute from TAS India. If anyone has any question, they can ask to Madam. If anyone wants to ask any question. Okay, the questions will be entertained by Madam personally after the session ends. I am thankful to all the seniors faculties for attending this session. So, first day of our guest lecture series ends today. We will meet at the same time tomorrow again with a new topic. Till then, stay safe, stay happy. Good day.
Recording बंद कर देना. Thank you, madam. Shamsa madam.
Okay.
हाँ अच्छा
Thank you
रहा.
so much.